So, have you ever found yourself just lying awake in bed?
Oh, I think we all have, yeah.
Right, just staring straight up at the ceiling. The room is completely dark.
And totally quiet.
Exactly, totally quiet. It's really late, maybe 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Your body is just exhausted.
You really, really should be sleeping.
You really should. But your brain is just wide awake.
Yeah, it's running a marathon.
It is. It's spinning with all these questions. Like maybe you're thinking about a conversation you had, 3 entire years ago.
Reversed.
Right. You're wondering, like, did I say something silly at that party? Did they think I was foolish?
Or maybe you're thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah, the future. Like, what if I make a mistake at work? What if my presentation fails?
What if everything just goes wrong?
Exactly.
Right.
And, if you have ever experienced this, you are definitely not alone.
No, absolutely not alone.
And here's something really interesting that we're going to explore today. Learning a new language, like English, that can actually trigger this exact kind of worry.
Oh, it really can. It's a huge trigger.
Right. You might lie there and worry, did I use the right grammar when I ordered my coffee today?
Or, did that person actually understand my pronunciation?
Yeah. Or were they just like smiling to be polite? Did I sound rude when I was just trying to be friendly?
It can be completely exhausting.
It really is.
It takes so much physical and mental energy to worry like that. And that feeling of a spinning brain, being trapped in your own worries. That is exactly what we are going to untangle today.
Yes, untangle it.
We're going to look really closely at some incredibly practical strategies from Aria and Ben.
Right, from their audio materials.
Exactly. They are the creators of the English Leap podcast. And their whole focus is entirely on real-life English.
Which is so helpful. They don't just, read from boring grammar books.
No, they don't. They talk about the real challenges people face every single day. And the challenge they are discussing in this material, well, it affects almost every human being on the planet.
How to stop overthinking.
Exactly. How to stop overthinking.
So we are going to dive deep into their 5 practical tips to stop overthinking. But because you, our listener, are also on a journey to improve your English.
Right, which is amazing, by the way.
It is. But because of that, we are going to do this at a very comfortable, very deliberate pace.
Yes, a nice slow pace.
We're going to carefully explore the beautiful metaphors that Arya and Ben use. We'll, explain the essential vocabulary clearly without rushing.
That's the best way to learn.
I think so too. Our goal for this deep dive is to do 2 very important things at the exact same time. First, we want to give you real tools to calm your mind.
And second, we want to help you improve your English comprehension.
Exactly. You should feel relaxed, supported, and engaged while you listen to us today.
I think that is the perfect approach. Taking our time to truly understand these concepts and the specific words used to describe them is, it's the most effective way to learn. Because knowledge is only valuable when it's understood clearly, and where you can actually apply it to your daily lives.
It's true.
And frankly, understanding how our own minds work is probably one of the most useful things we can ever spend our time doing.
Oh, 100%.
Because if you understand your mind, you can start to guide it.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Before we can solve any problem, we need to know exactly what we're dealing with, right?
Right. We need the right words.
We need the right words to describe the problem. So what exactly is overthinking?
Well, Arya and Ben start with a very simple, very helpful linguistic breakdown.
They do. They take the word itself and separate it into 2 pieces.
Yes. Looking at the structure of the word is always the best place to start. They break it into over and thinking.
Right.
In the English language, when you put the word over in front of another action word, a verb, it almost always means too much.
Too much, right. It means you've gone past the healthy limit.
Exactly. For example, eating is a normal, healthy thing to do. We all need to eat. But overeating means eating too much until your stomach hurts.
Yeah, like on a holiday.
Right. Or working is a necessary part of life. But overworking means working too much until you are completely exhausted and sick.
So therefore, overthinking simply means thinking too much about something.
Yes, it means your brain is working far past the healthy limit.
But, I love how they clarified that it's not just thinking a lot.
Right, there's a difference.
Like, it's not like studying a really complex math problem for 5 hours. Overthinking is a very specific kind of thinking.
It's thinking in a circle.
Yes,
Yeah.
thinking in a circle. You think about the exact same thing again and again and again, but you never actually find an answer.
You never arrive at a solution.
And to help us truly understand this feeling, Arya and Ben use some incredible visual metaphors.
Metaphors are great for learning English.
They really are. And just as a quick reminder, a metaphor is when you describe a complicated idea by comparing it to a simple picture that everyone recognizes.
Right, and the first picture they use is a washing machine.
Oh, the washing machine. I felt that one.
It is a brilliant metaphor for this mental experience. Think about what a washing machine actually does.
Okay, let's picture it.
You put your wet, heavy clothes inside, you turn it on, and then it just spins.
It just spins them round and round.
Round and round and round in the soapy water. The machine makes a lot of noise. It uses a lot of electricity. There is a lot of heavy movement.
But the washing machine never goes anywhere.
Exactly. It just stays in one exact place in your laundry room and spins.
Yeah.
And when you are overthinking, your brain feels exactly like that washing machine. The thoughts are heavy. They just go round and round, spinning without stopping.
But your mind never actually travels forward to a solution.
Ever.
I can almost physically feel that spinning right now. It is such a heavy, noisy feeling in your head.
It really is.
And they use a second picture, which I think is maybe a little funnier, but just as accurate. They compare overthinking to a dog chasing its own tail.
Yes. The dog. If we look at how energy works, the dog chasing its tail is the perfect image.
Paint that picture for us.
Imagine a dog in a park. The dog sees its tail and decides it needs to catch it. So the dog starts running in a tight circle.
Going round and round.
The dog is running very fast. It is panting. It is sweating. It's using a massive amount of physical energy.
The dog is trying incredibly hard.
But what is the dog actually catching?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
The dog never catches the tail. It is a completely impossible task.
Yes. So much running, so much intense energy, but you never actually catch an answer. You never solve the problem. You just get incredibly tired.
Just tired.
But wait, I have to push back on this for a second.
Okay, push back.
Is overthinking really always a bad thing? What if I am just trying to be a very careful person?
That's a good question.
Right. Like, for example, what if I have a really big decision to make? Say I'm moving to a new country to learn English and I want to make a good choice.
Sure.
So I think about it deeply. I look at all the details. Isn't that a good thing? Aren't I just being responsible?
That is a very common defense, actually. And it raises an important distinction that the source material makes very clearly.
What's the distinction?
Well, people often confuse the two.
Hmm.
But there is a massive difference between careful thinking and overthinking.
Okay, how so?
Let's look at the shape of the thoughts. Careful thinking is like a straight line.
A straight line.
Yes, you look at a problem, you gather information, you find a possible solution, you make a decision, and then, most importantly, you move forward along that straight line.
You move on with your life.
Exactly. Careful thinking has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Okay, I like that image. Careful thinking is a straight line. Look at the problem, find a solution, walk forward.
Exactly.
So how does overthinking look different from that straight line?
Overthinking is the circle we discussed. The dog chasing its tail.
Right.
You look at the problem, then you look at it again, then you look at it from the left side, then you look at it from the right
I
side.
just keep looking at it.
Yes. And you start to imagine all the terrible things that might happen, even if they are very unlikely.
Yeah, you start worrying.
You worry about step 10 before you have even taken step 1. And then, at the end of all that intense mental work, you do not move forward.
You don't make a decision.
No, you feel completely trapped in the exact same place you started.
Trapped. That is the exact feeling. And, they use a very specific vocabulary word for this feeling in the material.
They do, and it's a great word.
It is a wonderful word for English learners to know. That word is stuck. S-T-U-C-K. Stuck.
Stuck is an essential English word, especially when we're talking about emotions. It means you cannot move forward, even if you really want to.
You are trapped in one place.
Yes. And the best way to understand this word is to imagine walking through a forest after a really heavy rain.
Okay, so it's muddy.
Very muddy. You step into a deep puddle of thick, wet mud. Your shoe sinks deep into the mud. You try to pull your foot up so you can keep walking, but the mud holds your shoe tight.
Oh, I hate that feeling. You just can't move your foot.
Exactly. You are stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
And when you overthink, your mind feels exactly like that foot.
You're stuck inside your own head.
Held tight by the worry, unable to walk forward toward a solution.
I feel stuck in my own head. That is such a powerful, descriptive sentence. I think every single person listening to us right now knows exactly what it feels like to be stuck in their own head, trying to pull their thoughts out of the mud.
Oh, absolutely.
So now that we know what it looks like to be stuck, we understand the washing machine, we understand the exhausted dog chasing its tail, and we know it is a circle instead of a straight line, we have to ask the next big question.
Which is why.
Why? Why do our brains do this to us? What is the actual fuel that powers this noisy washing machine?
Well, the material identifies the root causes very clearly. And it's fascinating because it goes deep into human psychology.
So what's the fuel?
The biggest, most powerful fuel for overthinking is fear.
Fear.
Specifically, it's the deep fear of failure or the fear of making a wrong choice that will ruin everything.
Fear. Honestly, that makes so much sense. We overthink because we are afraid of what might happen.
Right.
But how does thinking too much actually help us with fear? It seems like thinking about scary things all the time would just make us more afraid.
You are exactly right. It does not help.
Yes.
But it creates something called an illusion of control.
An illusion.
Yes, an illusion is a trick. It is something that feels very real and true, but is actually completely false.
Like a magic trick.
Exactly. A magic trick is an illusion. Overthinking is a magic trick our brain plays on us.
How does the trick work?
We have this deeply false belief that if we think about every single bad thing that could possibly happen in the future, we can somehow prevent those bad things from happening. We tell ourselves, if I imagine every possible disaster, I will be prepared for anything. I will be safe.
That is so true. It is like trying to build a wall out of thoughts. Like, if I worry enough about failing my English exam, somehow the worrying will act like magic and prevent me from failing.
Right. But that is a complete trick.
Because we cannot control the future.
We can't.
And trying to control the future just by worrying about it usually just makes us feel terrible in the present.
Precisely. The harder we try to think about every possible bad outcome, the worse we feel.
We don't feel safer.
We do not feel safer. We do not feel more prepared. We feel something else entirely. We feel exhausted and overwhelmed.
Which brings us to another amazing example they share about why we spiral. It is not just the fear of the future.
No, it's the past, too.
It is also caring far too much about what other people think of us. This is something every single language learner struggles with.
Oh, definitely.
They talk about replaying a conversation in your head like a movie, but not a normal movie. You play the movie in slow motion.
This is such a relatable human example. Let's create a scenario to explain this.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's say you are learning English, and you go to a cafe to order a coffee.
You want to practice.
Right. You speak to the barista, you order your drink, you pay, you leave. It seems completely fine.
Normal interaction.
But later that night, you are lying in bed, and you play the memory of that cafe in your head very, very slowly. You examine every detail.
Oh, I know this feeling.
You ask yourself, did I use the right past tense verb? Did the barista look confused for a second? Did they think my accent was strange?
Did I say thank you too quietly?
Do they think I'm rude? You are reviewing a 30-second conversation frame by frame, like a detective looking for a crime.
Playing it back in slow motion. Did the those say the wrong word? It is torture.
It really is.
And here is where it gets incredibly interesting. While you are lying in bed, sweating, worrying about this tiny conversation, what is the barista doing?
Well, the irony is almost funny when you step back and look at it.
Right.
While you are reviewing the conversation in slow motion, agonizing over one tiny grammar mistake, the barista has completely 100% forgotten about it.
100%.
They forgot about it 10 seconds after you left the cafe. They served 200 more coffees after you.
They have their own lives.
Exactly. Right now, they are busy living their own complex life. They are thinking about what to make for dinner or worrying about paying their electricity bill.
Or maybe they're lying in their own bed overthinking their own problems.
Probably. But they are absolutely not thinking about your small grammar mistake.
That is the honest truth. We worry so much. We spend so much energy. And the other person has already completely forgotten.
All that worrying was for absolutely nothing.
For nothing. Now, this brings us to some key vocabulary words that perfectly describe these root causes.
These are important words for our listeners.
Yes. The first word is anxious. A-N-X-I-O-U-S. Anxious.
Anxious is a very important feeling word. It means you are worried, and you are a little afraid about what might happen in the future.
But it's not a calm worry, is it?
No, it is not a calm worry. It is an active, uncomfortable feeling. When you feel anxious, your chest might feel tight.
Your heartbeat might get faster.
Your stomach might feel strange, like butterflies are flying around inside it.
Give us an example of how to use it.
Sure, you might say, I feel incredibly anxious when I have to stand up and speak English in a big business meeting. Or, she was very anxious while waiting for the results of her university exam.
Right. It is that nervous, tight feeling in your body. And the word anxious has a best friend. They almost always travel together.
Yes, they do.
The next vocabulary word is uncertainty. Uncertainty.
Uncertainty means you are simply not sure about something. You do not know the answer.
You do not know what will happen next.
Right. Life is completely full of uncertainty because no human being can predict the future.
Exactly. We don't know for sure what tomorrow will bring. We don't know if it will rain. We don't know if we'll pass the test. We don't know how someone will react to our message.
So much uncertainty.
So if we put those two words together, we see the engine of overthinking. Uncertainty creates the feeling of being anxious.
Yes, that's the link.
Because I do not know what will happen tomorrow, that is the uncertainty my brain tries to guess. And because I'm guessing about dangerous things, I feel worried and afraid in my body. That is feeling anxious.
Exactly. And when uncertainty and anxiety get together, they create our next major vocabulary word.
And it is a very visual word, a spiral.
A spiral. A spiral is a specific shape.
Like a slinky.
Sort of, yes.
Uh-huh.
Imagine a line that starts in the middle and keeps going round and round in a circle. But it doesn't stay the same size.
Right. It gets wider.
As it goes round, the circle gets wider and wider, and it usually goes downward. Think of the shape water makes when it goes down a drain in the sink.
Oh, that's a great image. It spins fast and pulls down.
Exactly. When we use this physical word to describe the human mind, a thought spiral means your anxious thoughts are going round and round and they are getting worse and worse,
Getting bigger and bigger.
pulling your mood down like water down a drain.
That is a scary image, but it is exactly what it feels like. You might hear someone say, his thoughts started to spiral and he couldn't stop.
Right. Let's look at an example of a spiral.
Okay.
You start by worrying about a tiny mistake. I said he do instead of he does in the meeting.
Okay. Small start.
Then the spiral gets wider. My boss probably thinks my English is terrible.
Wider again.
My boss is going to fire me because I can't communicate.
Wider and deeper.
I will lose my job, I won't be able to pay my rent, and I will have to live on the street.
You went from one tiny grammar mistake to living on the street in 5 minutes.
That is a thought spiral.
It is the perfect word to describe how overthinking grows out of control if we do not know how to stop it.
Yes. It begins with a small seed of uncertainty. It creates anxious feelings in the body, and it quickly turns into a massive downward spiral.
Okay, so we really understand the trap now. We know what it means to be stuck in the mud. We understand the noisy washing machine.
We know that the illusion of control, uncertainty, and fear are the bait that pulls us into the downward spiral.
Now we arrive at the most important part of our deep dive.
The solutions.
Yes. How do we get out of the trap? How do we stop the spinning? We're going to explore the 5 practical tips provided by Arya and Ben. The first 2 tips are what we can call mental shifts. They are about changing how we look at our own thoughts.
Right.
Tip number 1, notice when it is happening.
Notice when it is happening. When you first hear that, it sounds almost too simple, doesn't it?
It sounds obvious, yeah.
But there is a deep reason why this is the critical first step. Most people who overthink do it completely unconsciously.
Unconsciously.
Yes, they overthink without even realizing they are doing it. The anxious thoughts arrive in the brain, and the person just follows them automatically.
Like a dog following a smell.
Exactly. They never stop to make a conscious choice.
And they use a really brilliant analogy to explain this unconscious state. They say overthinking is like walking into a completely dark room without noticing that the door was left open.
Yes, you were just suddenly standing in the dark, feeling confused and scared.
But you cannot fix anything in the room because you cannot see anything. The very first step, before you try to fix the problem, before you try to feel better, is simply turning on the light switch.
Turning on the light simply means you notice what your brain is doing.
Right.
You stop for 1 single second and say to yourself, wait, I am overthinking right now. I am in the dark room.
You're not fixing the thoughts yet.
No, you are not fixing them. You are not fighting them. You are just seeing them clearly. You are bringing awareness to the situation.
Let me try a different analogy here to build on that.
Go for it.
Imagine a football field. Instead of being the player running around on the grass, kicking the ball, sweating, getting tackled by the other players, which represent your thoughts, you need to leave the field.
Leave the field. It's okay.
You climb up the stairs and become the watcher, sitting high up in the seats. You look down at the game. You don't yell at the players. You don't scream, "Stop thinking! Go away!"
You just observe.
Right, you just sit quietly in your seat and notice them. Ugh, look down there. There's that worry about my English exam again. Look at it, run in circles. You create distance.
That is an excellent way to describe it. Becoming the watcher creates essential distance between you and your thoughts.
It really does.
And there is a great personal story from Ben about this exact technique.
Oh, yes, the presentation story.
Yes, he had a very important presentation coming up at his job. The night before the presentation, he was lying in bed, in the dark, and his brain was completely full of what-if questions.
The washing machine was spinning loudly.
Very loudly.
Let's talk about those what-ifs for a second, because they are classic textbook overthinking. Everyone knows them.
We all do.
What if I forget what I'm supposed to say? What if the audience laughs at me? What if my computer breaks during the middle of the presentation and I look stupid?
Notice how every single one of those questions is a future-based fear.
Always the future.
It is the fear of uncertainty creating a spiral.
Yeah.
But Ben remembered this exact first tip. He realized he was trapped on the football field with his thoughts.
So he needed to climb up to the seats.
He needed to become the watcher. He needed to turn on the light in the dark room.
And what did he actually do? He physically spoke to himself out loud in the dark room.
Out loud, yes.
In a very quiet, calm voice, he said, "Ben, you are overthinking. These are just thoughts, not facts."
Not facts.
He became like a kind coach to himself. He didn't become a mean coach who yells, "Stop being stupid, go to sleep." He was a gentle, kind coach, reminding himself of reality.
And that leads to the most crucial takeaway from this first tip. It is a phrase that can honestly change your life.
What is it?
Thoughts are not facts.
Thoughts are not facts.
Just because your brain produces a thought that says, I am going to completely fail tomorrow, it does not make it a true fact.
It has not happened.
It is not real. It is merely a sentence passing through your brain. Recognizing that massive difference, the difference between a passing thought and a solid fact, is how you create that safe distance between you and the downward spiral.
Thoughts are not facts. I want every single listener to write that down. Put it on a piece of paper and stick it on your bathroom mirror. Just because you think it doesn't mean it's true. That brings us nicely to tip number 2. Once you have turned on the light, once you notice you are overthinking, you have to ask yourself a very direct question. Is this useful?
Is this useful? It's a powerful tool because it forces you to evaluate the quality of your own thoughts. It makes you a judge.
A judge. I like that.
The material explains that there are two very different kinds of thinking. One kind of thinking is highly useful. It helps you survive and succeed.
How does it do that?
You identify a real problem, you figure out a practical answer, and then you take physical action. That leads to a real result.
Let's look at an example of useful thinking. I have an English vocabulary test tomorrow morning. I do not know the words for the weather. I am worried I will fail. Therefore, I should sit down at my desk and study those words for 30 minutes right now.
Perfect example.
That is incredibly useful thinking. The worry led directly to an action that solves the problem.
Well, what is the other kind of thinking?
Right, the unuseful kind.
The other kind of thinking is the endless circle. It is the dog chasing its tail. You imagine a problem, then you imagine the problem getting worse. You imagine it going entirely wrong.
You invent 10 completely different, terrible endings to the story.
And then, instead of doing anything to fix it, you start the whole imaginary process over again from the beginning.
Arya calls this a bad movie that keeps restarting. You sit in the theater, you watch the terrible, sad ending of the movie, and then instead of leaving the theater, the movie rewinds to the beginning, and you watch the horrible ending all over again.
It doesn't help you take any action.
It doesn't solve anything. It just makes your stomach hurt. So you must stop and ask the question, is this useful? Can I actually do something physical about this problem right now, in this exact moment?
If the answer is yes, then you do it. You study for the test. You write the email.
But if the answer is no?
If there's absolutely nothing you can do in this current moment because the problem is in the future or in the past, then you have to make a choice to let the thought go.
Now, wait a minute. Saying just let it go is very easy. It is a nice thing to say. But doing it is incredibly hard.
It is very hard.
If I'm worried about my job, How do I just let it go? Isn't letting it go just ignoring my real life?
That's a fair concern.
This is where they introduce one of the most beautiful metaphors in the entire discussion, the clouds in the sky metaphor. How does this help us understand letting go?
It is a profound way to visualize your own mind, and it answers your question perfectly. You are not ignoring the problem, you are changing your relationship to the thought.
Okay, walk me through it.
Imagine that your mind, your true self, is the vast, wide blue sky.
The blue sky.
The sky is calm, it is still, and it is always there. Your thoughts are like clouds passing through that sky.
Some clouds are small and white.
Right, those are your happy, peaceful thoughts. Some clouds are dark, heavy, and full of thunder. Those are your anxious thoughts, your overthinking.
Okay, I have the picture. I am the giant blue sky. The thoughts are the clouds moving across me.
Yes. And think about what clouds do naturally. They float into the sky, they stay for a little while, and then the wind naturally blows them away.
They didn't stay forever.
They change shape and disappear. If you notice a dark, heavy cloud entering your sky, an unuseful thought, you do not have to reach up and grab it.
You don't hold on to it tightly.
You do not have to chase that dark cloud across the sky. You simply watch it float by.
Just watch it.
You acknowledge it is there. Ah, there is a dark cloud of worry. But you let it pass. You remain the calm, still sky underneath.
You are not your thoughts. You are the sky watching the thoughts. That completely changes everything. You don't have to fight the storm. You just let the wind blow it away.
Exactly.
And Ben shares a fantastic story about his friend Mark that perfectly shows what happens when we refuse to let the clouds pass, and instead we try to grab every single dark cloud we see.
Ah, yes, the story of Mark's weekend trip. It is a very instructive story.
It really is.
Mark is described as a very intelligent person, but someone who chronically overthinks everything. Ben and Mark were planning a simple weekend trip together. They were just taking a bus to another city for 2 days. Nothing complicated.
Simple.
But Mark spent 2 entire weeks grabbing onto every single dark cloud he could find in his mental sky.
He generated 100 completely different worries. He was exhausted before he even packed his bag.
Yes, the what ifs.
What if the hotel room is dirty? What if it rains the entire weekend and we are stuck inside? What if the bus breaks down on the highway? What if the food at the restaurant makes us sick?
2 straight weeks of terrible movies restarting in his head.
And then the weekend finally arrived. They went on the trip. What actually happened in reality?
In reality, only one tiny thing went wrong. The bus was 30 minutes late arriving at the station. That was it.
That was the only problem.
Out of the 100 disasters Mark had vividly imagined, 99 of them never happened. The hotel was clean, the sun was shining, and the food was delicious.
99 worries were completely wasted energy. He spent 2 weeks of his life feeling anxious, sick, and stressed for absolutely nothing.
For nothing.
If he had stopped and asked himself, is this useful? Can I control the weather? No. Can I control the bus engine? No. He could have let those dark clouds pass.
He could have enjoyed the 2 weeks of his life before the trip instead of suffering. It is a perfect illustration of how overthinking drains our daily energy without providing any actual practical protection from the future. It is a false shield.
All right, so we have our 2 mental shifts. Tip 1, notice you are doing it, turn on the light, remember thoughts are not facts.
Yes.
Tip 2, ask if it is useful. If it is not, let the clouds pass. But we have to be realistic here. What if you try this and it simply doesn't work?
It happens.
Sometimes the mind cannot fix the mind. You try to be the calm blue sky, but the dark clouds are too thick, the thunder is too loud, and a massive storm is happening in your head.
When the mental shifts are not strong enough, we have to move into the physical world to break the spiral.
We have to use our bodies. This brings us to tip 3 and tip 4, the physical shifts. Tip 3, move your body.
This tip is not just good advice. It is grounded in actual human biology.
Biology.
Yes, the material points out a very important physical fact. When we are stuck in an overthinking spiral, what is our physical body usually doing?
Oh, good question.
Almost always, we are sitting or lying perfectly still. We're lying in bed in the dark, barely moving. Or we're sitting on the sofa, hunched over, staring blankly at a wall or a computer screen.
It is just you, a frozen body and a racing brain full of heavy thoughts. It is so true. It's almost like a freeze response. When my mind is racing the fastest, running 100 miles an hour, my physical body is usually completely frozen like a statue. But why does that matter?
Well, the source explains some fascinating science here. When you physically change what your body is doing, you actually change the chemistry happening inside your brain.
You can hack your own biology.
Yes, our minds and bodies are deeply connected. They're not separate systems. Historically, when humans felt fear, it was because of physical danger, like a wild animal. The brain released chemicals to give the body energy to run away.
Right, fight or flight.
Today, our fear is a grammar mistake or an email. But the brain still prepares the body for physical action. If we just sit still, that energy turns into anxious spinning.
So we have to move.
Yes. When you engage in physical movement, whether that is walking briskly outside, going for a run, doing jumping jacks, or even just dancing wildly to a song in your kitchen, your brain processes that energy.
And it releases new chemicals.
Exactly, called endorphins.
Endorphins, I love that word. Endorphins. Endorphins are the brain's natural feel-good chemicals.
Yes, they are.
They are literally a natural medicine that your body produces internally to help you feel calmer, happier, and more relaxed. When you move, you unlock the medicine cabinet in your brain.
They use two wonderful metaphors to describe the effect of movement on a spiraling mind.
What are they?
Moving your physical body is like hitting the reset button on a computer screen that is completely frozen.
Oh, a reset button.
Or, my favorite, it is like reaching out and turning down the volume on a very loud radio.
I like that one.
The thoughts might not stop completely, but the volume becomes much lower, much quieter, and much easier to ignore.
Turning down the volume on the loud radio in your head, I really love that image. And Ben shares a personal story to prove that this biological trick actually works.
Yes, his work story.
He was going through a very difficult, highly stressful time at his job. There was a lot of pressure, a lot of uncertainty about the future of his project. At night, the overthinking washing machine was spinning very, very fast.
But instead of staying in his bed, staring at the dark ceiling and letting the thoughts spin until morning, he made a conscious choice to change his physical state.
He forced his body to move.
He got up, put on his shoes, went outside into the fresh air, and walked for 10 minutes. And importantly, he notes that he walked without listening to music or a podcast.
He didn't distract himself with a screen.
No, he just walked.
And he said that after just 10 minutes of physical movement, something inside him shifted. The chemicals in his brain changed. Now, the thoughts didn't disappear completely by magic.
Of course not. The problems were still real.
The complex problems at his work were still real problems that needed to be solved, but the thoughts felt completely different. They felt smaller. The volume on the radio was turned down.
He came back home feeling physically calmer and mentally able to think more clearly.
Here is the absolute magic sentence to remember from this. When you feel better, you think better.
That is a profound truth about human nature. We often believe we must solve the complex problem first in order to feel better.
If I figure out the perfect plan, then I will stop feeling anxious.
But the reality is almost always the exact opposite. If we do something to make our physical body feel better first, like taking a walk, our mind calms down. And when the mind is calm, we actually have the mental clarity to solve the problem.
The calm mind is the powerful mind. The panicked mind is useless. And this leads us to a truly beautiful vocabulary word.
Which one?
The word is dissolve. D-I-S-S-O-L-V-E. Dissolve.
To dissolve is a scientific word, but it is wonderful for describing feelings. It means something disappears slowly by mixing into something else. It loses its hard shape.
How can we picture that?
The best image to understand this is putting a spoonful of solid white sugar into a glass of hot tea.
Okay, hot tea.
At first, you see the hard sugar at the bottom. But as you stir the hot tea, the sugar slowly breaks apart. It mixes with the water, it disappears, it dissolves, you cannot see it anymore.
Ben said that during his 10-minute walk, the hard, heavy worries in his mind just dissolved into the air. They slowly disappeared and lost their sharp edges.
That's a great use of the word.
So, tip 3 is to move your body to help the worries dissolve. But what if walking isn't quite enough? What if the problem is still too heavy? We have tip 4. Talk to someone you trust.
This is a vital physical shift because it forces the thoughts out of your hidden internal world and brings them into the shared external world.
You physically push air out of your lungs to make sounds.
Exactly. The material uses a very vivid, somewhat scary metaphor here. Keeping anxious thoughts locked inside your own head is like carrying something extremely heavy hidden inside a dark black bag.
Yes. When the problem is hidden in the dark bag of your mind, it feels terrifying. Your imagination makes it bigger than it really is. It feels huge, heavy, and dangerous.
But talking to another human being is like opening that dark bag, taking the heavy thought out with your hands and putting it down on a table in a bright room where both of you can look at it clearly.
Taking it out of the darkness and putting it into the bright light changes its shape. Often, just the physical act of saying the words out loud makes the problem seem smaller and more manageable.
The other person might look at the thing on the table and say, is that all you're worried about? That doesn't look so big and scary to me.
So let me ask a question about the mechanics of this. Why does talking help so much even if the other person doesn't give you any advice at all?
That's a good point.
What if you talk for 20 minutes and your friend just sits there, nods their head, and listens? Why does that make me feel better? They didn't solve my problem.
That is a very insightful question, and it gets to the heart of why we get stuck. The reason simply talking helps is because when we are stuck in an overthinking spiral, we are trapped in a single narrow point of view.
A narrow view.
We are only looking at the problem from one specific angle. We are standing in one spot. A trusted friend or a family member naturally provides a completely different angle. They stand on the other side of the table and see things you cannot see.
A different angle, a new perspective. And sometimes just looking at it from one different angle changes the whole picture.
It really does.
Ben shares a fantastic story about a major life decision that illustrates this perfectly. He was trying to decide if he should quit his current job and change careers or stay where he was. It was a huge choice.
A very big choice.
For weeks, he was trapped in the washing machine. He was making lists of pros and cons, tearing up the lists, deleting them, making new lists on his phone, going back and forth, back and forth.
It is the perfect real-life example of the dog chasing its tail. He was spending a massive amount of mental energy, but making zero actual progress toward a decision.
Finally, the burden became too heavy. He sat down and talked to his sister. He opened the dark bag and put everything on the table,
He talked continuously for 20 minutes.
explaining all his complex what-ifs and his deep fears about failing. And his sister didn't give him a long, complicated lecture. She didn't tell him, you should take the new job.
No, she just listened carefully.
And then she looked at the problem from her angle and she said one single sentence. She said, Ben, listening to you, it sounds like you already know exactly what you want to do. You are just afraid to choose it. Wow.
It was a massive revelation for him. It was a breakthrough. His sister was entirely correct.
The overthinking was not a helpful tool he was using to make a logical decision.
Not at all. The overthinking was a shield. It was an excuse he was using to avoid making a decision because he was scared of the uncertainty of the future.
The noise of the overthinking was hiding the quiet truth underneath. Talking to his sister helped him hear the answer he already had hidden inside himself all along. Taking the thought into the light showed him his own courage.
Beautifully said.
Now, there's a very important note included in the material here about talking to people, and we need to mention it.
Yes, it is a very responsible and necessary caveat. They note that we all overthink sometimes. But if overthinking is severely impacting your daily life, if it is happening every single day, if it is making you deeply unhappy, if it stops you from sleeping,
And if talking to friends or taking long walks is not helping to calm the storm.
then it is incredibly wise to talk to a professional. That means a trained therapist, counselor, or doctor. There's absolutely no shame, zero shame, in seeking professional help to learn how your unique mind works.
I am so glad they included that. We go to a doctor when our leg is broken, and we should go to a professional when our mind is hurting. Asking for help is always a sign of intelligence and strength, never a sign of weakness.
Agreed.
Okay, let's review where we are. We have our mental shifts, notice the dark room, and check if the thought is useful.
And we have our physical shifts.
Yeah.
Move your body to get endorphins and talk to someone to take the thought out of the dark bag.
But what if you are in a situation where you cannot do any of these things? What if you cannot go for a walk and you are entirely alone with no one to talk to?
Like on a train or at work?
Right. What if you are sitting quietly in a crowded train or sitting at your desk in a silent office and the downward spiral starts? We have arrived at the final, most versatile tip. Tip 5, come back to right now.
This tip addresses the very core nature of how overthinking operates. As they explain beautifully, overthinking almost never lives in the present moment.
Think about your worries. They usually land in one of two places.
The past, in the form of deep regret. Why did I say that stupid thing yesterday? Or the future, in the form of anxious worry. What if I fail the test next month?
Exactly. The mind is a time traveler. I sounded so foolish in that meeting an hour ago. That is the past. I am going to completely ruin the interview tomorrow. That is the future.
But if you stop the time travel and look at your life exactly in this single exact second, what is actually happening?
They make a profound and comforting point here.
Yeah.
The present moment is almost always okay. It is usually safe.
Unless you are in immediate physical danger, like running from a fire, The exact second you are living in right now is fine. You are breathing, you are sitting, you are safe.
The past is entirely gone. You cannot reach back and change a single second of it. The future has not arrived yet. It is completely imaginary. The only thing that is truly real, the only place you actually exist, is right now.
Okay, the philosophy of that makes perfect sense. It sounds very peaceful. But how do we actually do this?
Right. When my brain is time traveling to a disaster in the future, how do I force a spinning brain to come back to the present moment?
They give us a highly practical exercise using our physical body. It is known as the five senses grounding exercise.
It is a grounding technique, meaning it pulls your floating mind back down to the solid ground of reality.
When your mind is floating away into an imaginary future, you use your physical senses sight, hearing, touch to pull it back.
The exercise is simple but powerful.
You stop what you are doing. You look around the room and mentally name 5 things you can clearly see with your eyes. Then, you listen very closely and name 3 things you can hear with your ears. Then you focus on your body and feel something physical, like the feeling of your feet pressing firmly against the floor.
Let's do it right now. I see my open notebook on the desk. I see the bright window. I see a blue pen. I hear the hum of the air conditioner. I hear a car driving by outside. I feel the heavy weight of my feet on the carpet.
It sounds incredibly simple, almost too simple to work for deep anxiety. But they explain exactly why this works, using another fantastic metaphor: changing the channel.
Think of your brain like a television set. A television can only show one channel at a time.
If the television is tuned to the worrying about next week's exam channel, it is showing a scary movie.
But if you force your brain to process visual and auditory information right in front of you, if you force it to look at the blue pen and listen to the air conditioner, you are physically grabbing the remote control and changing the channel.
Your brain simply does not have the capacity to intensely overthink the future and process immediate sensory data at the exact same time. It has to switch tasks.
You are forcing the television to switch from a stressful horror movie to a calm nature documentary. And Aria shares a lovely personal story about doing exactly this.
She was riding on a train, traveling for work. Suddenly, her mind started time traveling.
She started overthinking about a massive work project that was due the next week. Her mind started running very fast, building up all the pressure and stress. The washing machine started spinning.
But then, she remembered the light switch. She recognized what was happening. She also knew she was sitting on a moving train. There was absolutely zero action she could take regarding the work project in that specific moment.
She couldn't call her boss. She couldn't fix the document. Worrying was completely unuseful, so she put her phone face down on the seat. She looked out the large window, and she deliberately changed the channel.
She used her senses. She watched the green trees go past outside. She looked at the shapes of the houses. She focused on the blue sky. She felt the vibration of the train under her seat.
She just breathed quietly and watched the physical world. And she said that after just a few minutes of grounding herself, her whole mood changed. Now, the work project didn't magically disappear. It was still waiting for her on her desk at the office, but in that moment on the train, she found peace.
This brings us to some essential advanced vocabulary for this section. The first phrase is present moment. This simply means right now. Not a minute ago, not a minute from now, just this exact single second in time.
The present moment is the only place where life actually happens. You can't live in tomorrow. And the next important word is react. R-E-A-C-T, react.
To react means to respond to something very quickly, often automatically, and usually without thinking carefully. When an animal is scared, it reacts. It bites or it runs.
When we are caught in a thought spiral, we tend to react to our own thoughts with fear. We panic. But when we ground ourselves in the present moment, we slow time down.
We stop reacting blindly, and we gain the powerful ability to choose how we want to respond calmly.
It is the difference between shouting immediately because someone surprised you and taking a deep breath before you speak. That is choosing to respond, not choosing to react. And this leads us to what might be the ultimate, most profound concept in this entire deep dive. It is a big word. The word is acceptance.
The material provides a very clear, very powerful definition of acceptance. It is important because many people completely misunderstand this word.
They think acceptance means giving up. They think it means being weak or being a loser or saying that a terrible situation is actually good.
But that is incorrect. That is not psychological acceptance. Acceptance means allowing reality to be exactly the way it is, without fighting against it, specifically when it is a situation you cannot change.
Let's expand on that. Being at peace with what you cannot change. Think about Arya on the train. She accepted that she could not work on the project while sitting in a moving train carriage. She didn't give up on her job.
She didn't say, I am a bad worker, I will fail.
She just accepted the reality of that specific hour of her life. She stopped fighting the fact that she was on a train. Acceptance is not a weakness. It is a profound strength because it stops you from wasting your precious energy fighting a war against reality that you cannot win.
It is the end of the struggle. When you fight reality, you always lose and you get exhausted. When you accept the present moment, the loud washing machine finally stops spinning. The room gets quiet.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have gathered so many incredible, powerful tools today. We have the mental shifts, the physical shifts, and the profound power of living in the present moment. But as we move into the final section of our time together, we have to be honest. We have to talk about reality.
Yeah.
How do we actually apply these tools so we don't feel incredibly frustrated when we inevitably wake up tomorrow morning and start overthinking all over again? Because let's be honest, we are human. We will overthink again.
Yes, human biology and human nature guarantee that we will worry again.
Yeah.
The material anticipates this feeling of frustration perfectly. They address the listener directly, acknowledging a hard truth. You cannot just turn off overthinking like flipping a light switch on the wall. Your brain is not a simple machine you can simply unplug when you are tired of it.
If you try to force your brain to stop thinking, if you yell at yourself to stop it, you usually just end up overthinking about the fact that you are overthinking. It creates a new spiral.
Instead of fighting a war, they offer a completely different way to look at your own complex mind, a way to reframe the whole experience of being an overthinker. They share a powerful assertion. People who overthink are usually highly intelligent, deeply caring, and very empathetic people.
Empathetic is a wonderful advanced vocabulary word, E-M-P-A-T-H-E-T-I-C. Empathetic. It means you have the special ability to deeply understand and actually feel the emotions of other people. You care about how your actions affect others.
The material points out a beautiful paradox.
Yeah.
The exact same complex mental machinery that causes you to overthink, worry, and spin is the exact same machinery that makes you a thoughtful, creative, and highly empathetic friend.
It is actually a gift. The fact that your powerful brain can vividly imagine 10 different possible futures for a weekend trip means you have an incredibly creative imagination. A boring brain cannot do that. You have a powerful engine, you just need to learn how to drive the car.
And they use a final, beautiful metaphor to explain this gentle approach. Overcoming overthinking is not like fighting a war against your brain. It is like steering a boat.
Think about steering a small wooden boat on a very fast, powerful river. When you are in the boat, you do not try to stop the water from moving. You do not put your hands in the water and push against the current. That would be impossible and exhausting.
The water has massive, unstoppable energy. Instead, you use the small wooden rudder at the back to gently guide the boat. You steer that massive energy in a slightly new direction. You work with the power of the water, not against it.
Work with your powerful brain, not against it. You gently steer your creative thoughts away from the dark, heavy clouds and back toward the calm, present moment. It takes practice. It is not magic. It is a habit. And just like going to the gym to lift heavy weights to build your physical muscles, changing a mental habit takes time and repetition. You build the calm muscle slowly, day by day.
To help build that exact muscle, the material provides 4 very clear, highly practical action steps for the listener to take into their daily life starting right now. Let's review them so they're crystal clear and ready to use.
Yes, the daily action plan. This is your homework. Step 1. Tonight. When you go to bed tonight, if you notice the washing machine starting to spin, what do? You climb into the seats, you become the watcher. You say quietly to yourself in the dark, I am overthinking right now. These are just thoughts, not facts. You turn on the light in the dark room.
Step 2. Tomorrow. Make a commitment to take 5 minutes to practice grounding yourself in the physical world. Go outside for a short walk and actively use your 5 senses. Notice the colors of the buildings, hear the sounds of the birds or the traffic, feel the wind on your skin. Practice grabbing the remote control and changing the channel to the present moment.
Step 3. Sometime this week. Think of one single person you truly trust. A friend, a family member, or a teacher. Open the heavy dark bag and put one small worry on the table between you. Talk to them. Let them help you see the problem from a completely different angle. Let them help the worry dissolve.
And finally, step 4, which is a rule you should follow always. Practice self-compassion. After you try any of these new tools, whether you succeed or fail, say something kind to yourself, such as, good job, I took care of my mind today.
Because you absolutely deserve that kindness. What a beautiful, supportive way to wrap up their discussion. And it brings us to the summary of our own deep dive today. We have thoroughly explored the traps, the triggers of uncertainty, the rich vocabulary like spiral and dissolve, and the practical tools to find peace in the present moment.
The ultimate takeaway from Arya and Ben is so simple, but so incredibly deep. Your mind is your home. You live inside it every single second of every single day of your life. Take good care of it. Overthinking is just a habit, and with patience, practice, and kindness, habits can be changed.
It is a lifelong process of learning to be a gentle, welcoming host to your own thoughts, rather than feeling like a frightened prisoner locked inside them.
Exactly. A host, not a prisoner.
And to close our deep dive today, I want to leave you with one final empowering thought to think about as you go about the rest of your day, perhaps while you are practicing your English. We just talked about how overthinkers possess highly creative, powerful, and deeply empathetic minds. So really think about this. If your overthinking is actually evidence of massive brain power, a mental engine that is so strong, it just temporarily lost its map. Imagine what incredible, beautiful things you could build, learn, or achieve if you use these new tools to gently steer all of that massive mental energy toward your dreams instead of your fears.
That is a wonderful, inspiring question to carry forward. Just imagine the potential of all that creative energy directed purposefully toward learning a language or building a life.
It is completely limitless. Remember how we started today? We talked about lying awake in the dark, the room completely quiet, the brain spinning out of control like a washing machine. Well, tonight, if you find yourself staring up at that same dark ceiling, I hope you remember that you have the power to reach out and turn on the light. You have the power to pick up the remote and change the channel. You are the vast, calm blue sky, and those worries are just small passing clouds. Thank you so much for taking this step to invest in yourself, to understand your own mind, and to continue your English journey with us today.